Hey you guys, Cindy here with Create Your Own Luck in Love. Happy Friday, and I am so sorry. I was having some technical difficulties here. In fact, I was trying to do live videos and it kept showing, my screen kept showing up black. So I don't know what that means. It's certainly not Black Friday. And it is Friday the 13th. So maybe that has a little something to do with it. A little spookiness going on. At any rate, I wanted to say, hey everyone, hey Sandra from Colorado. Ooh, I love that idea. You know what? If you jump on, if you're just getting on live, I am hopping on right now. I had, like I said, a couple technical difficulties, so I apologize, but I'm here. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're from. Sandy from Colorado's on. Send me some hearts. Send me some thumbs up. Today, what we're going to talk about is shocking relationships. Have you ever been in a relationship where, you know, it started out really amazing? Perhaps, you know, you almost felt like it was too good to be true. He was, you know, he seemed to say all the right things. Whoops. I'm trying to move my hair and it's taking my earpiece out all at the same time. Anyways, so he seemed to, you know, say all the right things, do all the right things, and maybe was even a little bit too much in the beginning. Like, you know, really anxious to jump right in. He came on what they call really strong. And then all of a sudden, maybe he started to cool off, or he cooled off suddenly. And you were left feeling like, wait a second, where's the guy that I started out with? Where's the really sweet guy that, you know, always brought my favorite coffee to me, that was, you know, thinking about me, was sending me really sweet nothings, you know, text messages, if that applies, or, you know, it just seemed like he was all the way around a great guy and really into you. And like I said, slowly started to change where you felt like perhaps, you know, and then maybe he started criticizing you. Maybe the way that you know, maybe he said something about your hair or your weight or the way you do something is never felt like it was quite enough. And then it led you to question yourself. And in your mind, you were thinking, gosh, you know, this guy was so great. I'm sure he's just having a few bad days. And a few bad days turn into several bad days. And then maybe you would start to overcompensate in the relationship. And what I mean by that is giving more, because maybe that's what he wants. Maybe he wants me to give more, to show up more, so that he sees that I'm worthy, right? Who's felt that way? Because I have in the past. And you know, it can slowly happen. Even if you think that you know better, it can happen. And it's almost like being brainwashed. It's scary. So then, you know, what happens is you're doing, and then you get little breadcrumbs of feeling like, oh, he's right there. He took me out to a nice dinner, we went dancing, we had such a great time. You know, we shared some really tender, intimate moments, and then whew, it's gone again. So it's like feeling, you know, it's that feeling of high, right? And then the low, and it's getting these breadcrumbs over and over and over again. And then feeling like, oh, if I do more, or if I do something that makes him happy, then, you know, he'll surely see my value. And meanwhile, your self-esteem is plummeting in the toilet. And you're not feeling like you're enough. You're not feeling attractive enough. You might be starving yourself because you don't feel like you're skinny enough, right? I mean, there's all these things. Or the other side could be happening. Maybe you're eating, emotional eating to overcompensate, and you're gaining weight, which feels like crap, right? I mean, there's all kinds of things that happen during this process, and it's a horrible place to be. And it's a horrible feeling because, you know, a lot of times there's not really, it's hard to gauge, you know, and these types of men can be kind of sneaky around this, and they're predatorial, newsflash. And, you know, if you watched my interview today with Cherry Norris, we talked about psychopaths and we talked about narcissists. And I think, you know, narcissism runs rampant in our society nowadays. And there are different forms. I think we can all have a bit of narcissism to us. I can identify with it. And I've definitely attracted partners in the past that are highly narcissistic because I grew up in a very narcissistic culture. And it wasn't, and I didn't know better until you don't know better. You do better when you know better. I don't even know. But at any rate, I didn't have the education around it. And so narcissists aren't necessarily psychopaths. They are very self-oriented, and you can fall into the same traps with a narcissistic individual. And if you're, you know, there are a lot of nice women out there, a lot of nice men out there too, frankly, that can get into relationships that, you know, involve someone that kind of sucks your energy, right? So when that transpires, it can, you know, it's like being in a fog. It's like having fog in front of you all the time. And when that happens, and, you know, there's usually an awakening, I call it, around this. There's usually things that start happening, mounting evidence, I call it. But what's hard is when enough oxytocin has been released, the brain can convince you, meaning if you've been intimate with that person, the brain can convince you for up to 2 years, unless God intervenes somehow, that he's really a great guy, and that what he means is well, and he's totally well-meaning for you, and it's all going to be okay. So if you just do the things like doing more in the relationship, you know, giving more, doing what your mother said to do, which is cook him a great meal, because the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And men do like a great meal, but it's so much more than that. It's really knowing what a healthy balance is and how to balance your feminine and standing your power to really invite in the kind of relationship that you desire. And I'm actually going to talk more about that this weekend, but things to look for in psychopathic, narcissistic men, and there's a difference between the two, okay? Narcissism, they can come on strong the same way, and they will eventually get back into themselves. Psychopaths will, like, they hold weapons of mass destruction, meaning that they're not fully mentally stable. So they may be leading a double life somehow. They may be courting another woman or women. And if your intuition tells you something's off, it probably is. But that frontal lobe will try fooling you, especially if you've been intimate with this man. And what's scary is it can be subtle. With narcissistic men, it depends on the severity of them. They don't always know what they're doing, but they can, it's highly selfish and self-centered. They're very, it kind of goes, it's their way or the highway. With narcissists, they typically don't have a struggle getting out of a relationship and into another one. They may have a struggle keeping a relationship because they're not necessarily fully committed. They may think they are, but they're not. So for them, it's a whole different thing altogether. So so both can be and are very difficult for the psyche, for the self-esteem. But like I said, I want to get into really quick reawakening moments before I jump off here. Those reawakening moments are, I caught him in a lie. And not putting it in the back of your file folder. Because if you catch someone in a lie, and like, I get that maybe sometimes we stretch the truth, or, kind of depends, but for the most part, I want to say an out and out lie. And it could depend on what that is. I remember, and let me give you an example. So I was dating a guy number of years ago, and it was Christmas time, and he had surprised me with this beautiful necklace, and it was actually a pretty expensive necklace, and it was beautiful. He put it on me, and something felt odd, and I didn't know what it was. And later on, I figured out, I looked at the necklace, and I showed it to a jeweler, and the jeweler asked me how long I had had it. And I said, a couple months. And the jeweler said, gosh, this necklace looks like it might be a little older than that. And looking at it closer, it had been cleaned fairly well, but it was used. And I came to find out through a series of events that it was a necklace that had belonged to an ex-girlfriend of his that he gave to me, but he lied to me about. Now, I could look at it from one side, what a sweet sentiment that he gave me the necklace, right? But the guy had changed, and who knows why he'd given me the necklace, but on the flip side of that, if he is willing to lie about that, he's willing to lie about other things. And there's, and there's other examples that I could share with you, but that was, it was something that hit me like a ton of bricks. And he lied about, like, where he had, how he got it, and he had put some elaborate story together. It didn't align. Well, there was a reason. So, and I think sometimes our intuition can be skewed based on the situation. But for the most part, if you listen to that little voice in your gut, then you will know what the truth really is. So knowing those things and acting appropriately on them is highly, highly important. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. And when the reawakening does happen, when it comes to those types of relationships, it can be a series of moments, and then all of a sudden there's a line drawn in the sand, or he stops calling you, and then you start to get your power back, and you heal from it, and you look for the signs. Because if a guy's trying too hard to rush you into something, and you're not setting strong and healthy boundaries that, look, I like to take my time. I'm dating other people. This is the most important area of my life. And I really want to make a great decision for myself. I'm sure you can appreciate that. And if somebody, a man may give you a little bit of pushback, but the right guy is going to look at that as, ooh, I get an opportunity to show her that I am the man for her, and I get to stand up and be that guy. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm here to answer them. When you're in the reawakening, it's taking your power back, really taking a tiny bit of time for you to do things that make you feel loved, and then going back and opening up to receiving the kind of love you're so worthy of. We're only looking for one, ladies. So let me know what you think. Send me questions, feedback. I want to hear it all. Happy Friday the 13th. Let this be an amazing day. Bye, everyone. It was good to see you on here, Tina. Can I talk about online dating? Sandra, I'll talk about that this weekend. Okay, so catch me live this weekend. I'll definitely be live tomorrow morning. I'll be live on Sunday. I'm live every day during this series, so I will absolutely talk about online dating. I love talking about online dating. Mwah. Love you. Bye, everyone.